Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. As always, we are coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So first things first, I want to wish everybody a very happy Maybon. Yes, it is Maybon today, which for those of you who don't know, it is the autumn equinox, which is used to mark the first day technically of fall, and it is the mid-harvest cycle. It is when day and night are equal, and it is when we reap what we sow through the summer. And so back in the day when we used to do farming, this is what we'd reap, but now it means something on a deeper level. So spring is always the things that we plant that we want for our life, and they start to blossom, and we're really seeing how they grow throughout the summer, and this is the time to reap what we sow and really put it into action. So I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Maybon and hope that your fall and autumn go well. We have a clothes drive coming up on October 3rd. Excuse me, I got something in my eye for a minute with these long eyelashes. I get stuff in my eye all the time. But we have a clothes drive on October 3rd. So please, people, if you have any clothes, shoes, blankets, backpacks, anything, hygiene products, socks, anything, please, please, please donate to us. Contact me or Caleb, or go to our Facebook, facebook.com/spirit communities, and please get a hold of us. You can also donate money if you don't have any clothes to GoFundMe. Your donations will help us help people on the street, and all money and all donations goes directly to helping the homeless. So just for your peace of mind, and yes, we do need you guys. So please take 2 minutes out of your time to just pick out a couple pairs of shoes, a couple pairs of shirts, whatever you can donate, and it would go a long way to help somebody. This week has been absolutely boring. I got to be honest with you guys. I have nothing to say today. It has been a really slow week. It has been raining a lot here in Florida, and every time I try to finish the driveway, this is turning out to be like a 6-week project. It rains, and I'm totally bored. Nira's bored. She keeps looking at me like, why can't we play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And I tell her, it's like, I just can't do it. So yeah, there's nothing exciting going on. If you have exciting stuff, I would love to hear it, because maybe it'll spruce up my day a little bit. So guys, as always, don't forget we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and LinkedIn. Caleb is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. I think all of them, all the live ones. And if you have any questions, he'll be available for live chat. So if, like I said, if you have any questions, chat him up, and he will relay the message to me. And don't forget, our replays are always on iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, Stitchers, iTunes, Soul and Spirit Guide, Google Plus, and or Google Podcasts, and all the rest. You know, there's so many of them nowadays today, but you got to be on all the social media. So all right, guys, today is the start of season 7. I am so excited, and normally we start on October 15th, because technically that is when we started way back in the day. But because this season we decided to push through and do most of the summer, with the exception of July. Usually we take off June, July, or July and August. I decided that it was time, because it's only a few weeks earlier and stuff. So welcome to the start of season 7. I am excited because, it's been over 7 years, but 7 seasons, and I really want to thank you guys for everything. Without you guys listening, without your guys' support, and without everything going on we share together, this is impossible. So I really want to thank you guys for everything. So today we're going to talk about, because a lot of times we talk on this show about spirituality, we talk about emotions, we talk about all sorts of stuff that helps us with our personal life. But we used to talk a lot about Eastern medicine and alternative medicine and physical health. And we kind of got away from that a little bit this season. So over the next couple weeks, probably the next maybe 3 or 4 weeks, we are going to have several alternative medicines. And we're going to talk about disease. And today we're going to talk about bowel disease like IBD and Crohn's disease, diverticular disease, diabetes, and all sorts of good stuff, because our health is important. And I gotta say, to be honest with you, as an American and even someone who's gaining weight because we're sitting here doing absolutely nothing, America is in trouble as far as our health. In many ways, we are going green. We're going organic. We're taking away. We're making cars go from gas to electric. We're cutting down our emissions. We're kind of doing all this stuff, except for what we need to do for ourselves. And I don't know how many times I run into somebody, and we're so willing to give to everybody else and to help everybody else, but we don't take care of ourselves. We don't help ourselves. We don't feed ourselves. It's easy to run to McDonald's or Burger King. It's easy to grab a quick sandwich, and trust me, I get it. For someone who's been on the couch for the last 8 months, who's been having a hard time, it's easy just to throw something in the toaster oven or the microwave and call it a day. But our health is very important to us, and it needs to be very important. It needs to have that mindset of being extremely important to us. Our bodies are what we use as the vessel to carry out these lives in order for us to learn. And if we don't take care of our bodies, our experience with our bodies and our experience with our life, our quality of life becomes altered. And that's when we start to become more depressed and angry and bitter and all these things, because when we don't feel good, and I know a lot of you can relate to this, when we don't feel good, our moods change. And I figured me and Caleb were talking about all these diseases, and we were talking about all the common ones that we were going over, and we were trying to figure out what it is that we actually wanted to talk about. And the first thing I said, well, let's go with bowel diseases and diabetes, because those are two of the top things here in America. I don't know if you're listening to from another country. I don't know where your statistics are and everything like that. Most of the statistics we have are just for America and some of the world stuff. But bowel disease is one of the top. And, we also have cancer and heart disease, of course. Those are always number 1 and 2. And that needs to change. So IBD, or irritable bowel disease, is just like a blanket. It's almost like as if you were to say automobile, and then you have Ford and Chevy and Toyota and Nissan, etc. And so irritable bowel disease is like a blanket. And basically what that means is it's chronic inflammation in the GI tract, which is the gastrointestinal tract. And according to the CDC back in 2015, over 3 million Americans, that's 1.3%, were affected by IBD type diseases. The Lancet in 2007 has stated that now there are 6.6 million global. And so what we're looking at is 3.3 Americans and then 6.6. And so we really have to start looking, because the numbers are rising. We're starting to notice that, especially in America. And I would really like to get more stats, because sometimes the CDC, and I'm not big on the CDC because they don't always tell the truth. But I would really like to see 2020 stats, because I guarantee that number 3 million has jumped way up, because I know so many people have issues. I don't know how many people come to me and call me and say, Miss Raina, I constantly have acid reflux, or I constantly have growling in my stomach, like it's always upset. Well, that's one of your big signs that we already have some type of IBD or something going on, because when we're having acid reflux, when we're having some type of gurgling and unsettlement in our stomach constantly, then usually there's some type of inflammation, or there's too much acidity, or basically your GI tract is too acidic. And that's saying a lot, because your stomach is supposed to be acidic. But But according to that, I mean, there's 6.6 million global, and that's a lot when we look at it. And one of the more popular IBD diseases is Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is an inflammation or irritation to the end of the digestive tract. So it's mostly in the towards the end of the small intestine and the large intestine, and it can be basically it can be anywhere. It can affect anywhere with Crohn's disease, from your mouth all the way down to your anus, and the reason why that is because inflammation spreads throughout. And some of the symptoms, and I'm going to go through some of this quickly because I really want to talk about things to help, alternative ways to help. So I don't really want to get in too much into Crohn's disease and all these things, because you can kind of look up this stuff and figure it out for yourself. Or if you have it, you already know what Crohn's disease is. So I would just be telling you things you already know. But some of the symptoms of Crohn's disease is abdominal pain and cramping. You got constipation or diarrhea, because it goes back and forth depending on how much heat is in the system. Because remember, Crohn's disease is inflammation, is irritation. So when there's more heat, you might feel there's more constipation. When there's less, there might be more water and it might come out. There's also an urgent need to evacuate the bowels. There's always this need to go to the bathroom, and that's one of the most annoying things that people with Crohn's disease always says, is that I always have to go to the bathroom. and even if I don't go or I feel like it, and I do, I get that, because there was a period in time where I was having a problem, and every time I would go to lay down, I'd be fine during the day, but when I'd go down to go to sleep, I would get up 15-20 times, because I always felt this urgency to go to the bathroom to go pee. And so I had to learn, I figured out what was going on, and that's for a different show. But that's one of the urgencies, because I get it, because I would be like, I want to go to bed, and I just start falling asleep, and my body would say, here, it's time to go. Rectal bleeding is another cause. People, I want to say this. If there's consistent blood coming out of your stool or your urine, go see a doctor, because that is a surefire sign that there is something wrong. Once in a while, sure, we might have a polyp. Once in a while, we might have a tear around the anus, and it happens, especially if we're pushing out too hard of stool after constipation. That does happen, but if it's a constant thing and you're constantly seeing bleed, even it doesn't have to be a lot of blood, but if you're constantly seeing it, or if you wipe and there's a lot of blood and it's constant, then go see a doctor. It might be something as silly as a polyp, and you just get it snipped off, and hey, great, we're back to normal. But it might be something much bigger. And weight loss and fatigue are a surefire sign of Crohn's disease as well. Over 500,000 people in the U.S. Are diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that was back, I think, in 2016 as well. Those stats. Like I said, I would really, really like to get an update on the Crohn's disease thing when they redo for 2020, because I think they're going to do it this year. But still, that's a lot of people. And one of the things that I look at is when we have Crohn's disease, there are many different types of Crohn's disease. There's ileocolitis, there's ileitis, there's gastroduodenal Crohn's disease, and there's so many different types, and I think there's 4 or 5 types, if I'm not mistaken. But there are several different types of it, so it's not like it's just lumped under one. And depending on what you have is depending on what part of the body is really inflamed and having the problem, and that's why they're labeled the way they are, because some may be in a different part of the gastrointestinal tract, and that could affect a lot of things. One of the biggest causes to a lot of things, people, and I'm going to say this throughout the show until you get it through, because this is so hard. I know we don't want to change our diet. I know there's guys out there that's like, me must eat meat, and women are like, so I must eat this too. I'm not giving up my stuff. And if you choose not to do that, then these are the paths you're going to go. And again, it's your choice. So we hear all the time fried foods are terrible, poor diet is terrible. We hear that so much, and it almost becomes like the annoying car alarm that we hear that goes off. Maybe our neighbor's car alarm goes off all the time, and at first we're like, oh my god, who's breaking into the car? But then afterwards, we're like, oh, that's just my neighbor's car, and it could be actually being broken into, but because we hear it so much, we tune it out. And you got to make this choice, people. You have to make this choice. Poor diet, you got to change it. It's plain and simple, especially if you have any IBD, IBS, any type of diabetes. These are poor diet-based diseases, and there's enough scientific proof out there. There's a lot of stuff. So processed foods, dyes, high processed sugars, they must be eliminated. I know they taste great, and you can have it once in a while, but eating digestive enzymes and then eating crappy food doesn't work. It doesn't cancel it out. You can't say, well, I'm going to eat this and then just eat some digestive enzymes and make it all better. Or Miss Raina told me that if I take baking soda and lemon juice every morning, it'll take my acidity away and my heartburn, and I could just eat. And so that doesn't mean that you can eat whatever you want. So I really want you guys to understand that. Of course, smoking is always a possibility. There really isn't a lot of proof on that, but smoking creates a lot of heat and in the body, and it has a lot of toxins like formaldehyde and arsenic and all these different things. And so you have to realize that you're inhaling that. And when you're inhaling heat, and I don't mean because it's on fire, but it creates heat in the body, and that when things become overheated, we have inflammation. And of course, where you smoking, you're breathing into your lungs, into your esophagus and everything else, into your trachea. And so those things are going to become inflamed. And frequent use of medication. You guys know that I have always been against medications. I do understand sometimes they are necessary. So I'm not totally against everything. However, though, I do understand that a lot of medications, and we'll get into the list of medications a little bit later, but I do understand that the medications that you take on a daily basis are probably doing it to you. There are a million side effects with medications. As you know, these pharmaceuticals, they use you as guinea pigs. They really do. They don't care. They don't look at you as a patient. They look at you as a dollar sign. And as long as you are on their medications, they are making money, and they're on their jets and boats and everything, having a good time at your expense. Try to look at your medications. Try to go on, ask your doctor, talk about that, and mention to them and see if your medications could probably cause any type of IBD, IBS, or any type of issues. And speaking of which, because I forgot to make this announcement earlier, this show is not meant to diagnose or be in substitution of medical advice. Please do not hear what I'm saying and stop what you're taking as far as medication. Please continue to see your doctors and speak with them and see what options are best for you. So I just want to put that out there, because I know a lot of times our doctors, they come into the room, they don't really care about us, they hurry up and see us, write us a script for something, go out after 30 seconds, and they charge us $500 for that thing. And so it's frustrating, because Western medicine and sometimes Eastern, I've run into a few Eastern medicine doctors that really don't pay attention to you either, but they're supposed to. And I know how frustrating this is. So you go to look on the internet for answers, and because you don't get those answers from your doctor, you seek elsewhere. But there is a danger in that. Not everything is safe, and just because it's sold over the counter through Vitamin Shop or Walgreens or on TV doesn't mean it's safe or it's going to be safe for you. So please be smart about this, and go to speak to your doctor. If your doctor isn't listening to you, go to another doctor until you find a doctor that listens to you and that will be open to alternative medicine or practices alternative medicine, because there are acupuncturists, DOMs, there's all sorts of doctors out there, and naturopathic doctors, homeopathic doctors, all types, even Western medicine doctors are opening up to both sides now. So there are doctors out there. So some of the solutions for Crohn's disease can be as simple as probiotics. But you know what? I just noticed we are at a break. Let me get through this and then we'll go through a break. But probiotics are a very good thing for the Crohn's disease. You have to have good bacteria in your intestinal tract in order for digestion to work properly. And that's one of the dangers about antibiotics, is it kills everything in your body, even the good bacteria. So if you're constantly on antibiotics and you kill your good bacteria, your gut health, you start to have poor digestion and things like this arise. So all right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. I hope you're enjoying the show. I am Miss Raina, your host for this evening, and every Tuesday evening, of course. But yes, probiotics, it is a definite must. You must have probiotics. Fish oil is another thing, because the omega-3s have anti-inflammatory properties. It's not just good for your brain. Yes, omega-3s are wonderful for your brain. So if you're having brain issues, get those omega-3s in. And I know some of you have problem taking fish oil because because when you take it, all of a sudden you start burping it up, and a lot of people shy away, but that means it's a cheap brand of fish oil. Spend the money and find a good fish oil, because if you're buying whatever you're getting from Walgreens, Nature's Way, and all these cheap products, then what's going to happen is every time you take you're going to have indigestion, you're going to be burping it up, have that after fish taste, and who wants that? And it's gross. I get it. Trust me. I've had those type of fish oils, and you don't want that. Aloe vera. Oh my God. Aloe vera for all you people that have inflammation and especially for constipation. Not if you have loose stool. If you have loose stool and prone to like if you have a lot of water and it's cooling water, it's not like a burning fire down there when you're going to the bathroom. But if you have like diarrhea and it's cold and it's just always liquidy, stay away from aloe vera. But if you are constipated because you have inflammation and you have heat and you have a burning sensation every time, oh my God, aloe vera is your friend. It's great for the skin. Never put it on an open wound. So what I mean by that is if you have a deep cut, you don't put aloe vera on it, put a Band-Aid on it, you will suffer the wrath. But what you're going to do is you only put it on surface wounds, and you can eat it. I have aloe vera plants. I break out the stalks. I fillet them, and you have to rinse off that yellowness. That yellowness on there is a very toxic substance. I'm not going to get into technical names of everything, so I'm just because I know a lot of people aren't going to understand. So, but that yellow coating that's on there, rinse it off for a little while, then eat little pieces of it. It's wonderful. You can go to Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, and they have bottles of aloe vera juice, and it doesn't taste bad. But make sure it's the edible kind, because you don't want aloe vera juice or aloe vera that you're supposed to put on your skin, and you go to eat it, you get really sick and end up in the hospital. But it's anti-inflammatory. Aloe vera is so cooling. It's like a fire extinguisher. I love aloe vera, especially for sunburns. When I go outside and I'm tan, I have that olive skin, but sometimes I push it too much and I'm outside on the beach too long, and I come back and man, my skin is on fire. I basically take a bucket and just dump it over my head, and I just soothe in it, and it really does. But it does wonders for the hair. It does wonders for the GI tract. So much. It really does. And like I said, if you have loose stool, stay away from aloe vera. If you have constipation due to heat, if every time you go to the bathroom it's constipated, dry, and you feel like this burning in that's when you want to use it. It is also great as an electrolyte imbalance. Aloe vera is wonderful. I have aloe vera plants, and I give them out as presents to people, and people always look like that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But to me, that you giving a plant of health, because aloe vera is such a wonderful plant. It's one of the greatest gifts I feel I can give, because it really has like 1,000,001 uses. Chamomile is one of these things, because we don't often think of teas and that, but teas, one of the things that I love about Chinese medicine is teas, because every tea is formulated actually as medicinal purposes. If you ever go to Whole Foods and you look at all the teas and you wonder why there's a combination, because they set up their teas to help. I take several teas for my digestion, my GI tract. When I was really sick and I was having the heart problem, I was taking dandelion, because dandelion gives you life. It really is. And we think of it as a weed and we kill it, but it's one of the greatest gifts to life that we can do for our body. But it stops spasming of the intestinal walls, the lining, the stomach lining, and it contains chemicals that are anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, so it'll help kick that if you have a virus or a bug on you, antibacterial virus, and it's even anti-parasitic. Of course, I always talk about peppermint oil as well. Peppermint oil is one of my go-to for everything. There are certain things I have in my medicine cabinet in my kitchen, and if you ever come over to my house, which really nobody really does, but if the people that do, they always see the same things sitting out on my thing, because those are my go-to. Always have essential peppermint oil to you, because you can use it as a mouthwash. You can use it to aid digestion. If you are having acid reflux, 2 or 3 drops in a small amount of water, swish it around your mouth and swallow it. One, it acts as a mouthwash, and 2, then it extinguishes that fire of that acid reflux, and then it helps make its way through everything. It's wonderful. It also helps calm the muscles of the colon. That is really thing, because a lot of times when you have inflammation, there's peristalsis and all sorts of things going on, and it causes the cramping. And then if you're eating junk food, the body is like, oh, this is irritating, and it's creating inflammation inside the colon, and it's a big no-no. One of the things that you have to get into, and this is for all diseases, everything, is juicing. You must get into juicing. Go out there, buy an omega juicer, because it's one of the best juicers ever. It cannot be one of those top Jack LaLange or whatever his name is juicers. It has to be like a special type of juicer that doesn't kill, like an auger juicer that presses. It's either got to be a cold press or an auger that kills, because if you use those spinny top ones that you buy cheaply from Bed Bath & Beyond or Walmart or whatever, by the time it hits the glass, it's already dead. The nutrients are ripped apart, and you're drinking dead juice. But you have to juice. Juicing has saved my life. I mean, in 8 months, and I'm still having some issues, but in 8 months, from going from a serious heart issue and a blood issue and all this stuff going on, to be able to be here every single week again. And I still have my ups and downs, but to be here where I'm at is unthinkable by Western medicine standpoint, because Western medicine kind of gave me a look and said, well, we can put you on pills and that's about it. And they kind of really didn't have an answer for me. juicing saves you, because one of the benefits when you have IBS or IBD or Crohn's or anything, sometimes fiber, even though fiber is very important for your diet, because that's one of the things you don't eat enough, is fiber, and you need that fiber for a healthy colon, because it really packs everything in there. But I always suggest to cancer patients, like people that I'm working with and everything, that when we're juicing, what ends up happening is when we take in juice, we don't have to have digestion. The moment there is some type of solid material like fiber or anything, the digestion starts. And when we're having Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, osis, whatever, and we're having all these issues, juicing, it bypasses that because it's absorbed right away into the small intestine. The duodenum is the first thing that absorbs all the nutrients. And so what you want to do is when you juice those juice, make sure you use the strainer so there's no pulp, no seeds or nothing. It's pure juice. And you drink that on an empty stomach, it gets absorbed, and eventually it starts to help heal whatever disease, your heart, your colon, whatever it is, because you're basically injecting your body with a ton of nutrients. And so if you don't know how to juice, that's okay. There's a lot of people that don't. I didn't know how to juice when I first started this lifestyle a long time ago. It's easier than you think, but it does heal the digestive tract. And because of the low fiber, it doesn't cause the irritation. And that's why a lot of people stay away from certain things, because the moment you eat something heavy, man, it creates that inflammation and it aggravates it. And it's trying to use peristalsis and digestion, and man, that's like having a hot tube of butter going through your intestinal tract, and it does not feel good. But you want to get those phytonutrients, you want to get those you want to get all that, because you want to make sure that your symptoms are reduced to everything. Himalayan salt is another thing for whether it's diverticulitis, Crohn's, or whatever, because it has 84 trace minerals. It restores the pH. And what's nice about this is table salt is junk. Throw it out. Because anything with iodine added, throw it out. But when you have sea salt actually has to be broken down by the digestive tract. Himalayan salt is readily absorbed right away. There's no digestion necessary. How wonderful is that? If we have Crohn's disease or diverticulitis or osis or whatever, and we're trying to not cause digestion, irritation and stuff, well, you want to take things that aren't going to that are going to feed our body to reduce that inflammation, to reduce those muscle cramps and blood sugar and all that stuff and that inflammation, and give you the nutrients it is. So ulcerative colitis is another thing, and ulcerative colitis is a very tough IBD type of disorder, and it is very long lasting. This is inflammation and sores inside, basically ulcers inside the digestive tract. So if you've ever had an ulcer in your stomach, imagine having these pockets or these ulcers inside your digestive tract. It is not enjoyable. And usually one thing leads to another. So remember, inflammation is always the start of disease. True, inflammation is needed for some time, and we'll get into that either today or tomorrow. But inflammation is needed for healing at times. But when it becomes chronic, that's when it becomes disease. Most, like all disease, starts with inflammation. And so when you start having inflammation, if it's not acute and it doesn't subside after a short time, now we're going into chronic, and that is a big issue. And so ulcerative colitis affects mostly the inner lining of the large intestine. Remember, the small intestine is, if you ever look at a picture, it's the smaller one. The large intestine is the big boxy shaped looking one on the outside, if you ever look at a human anatomy. And that goes all the way from there to all the way to the rectum. That's usually what's considered the large intestine, the sigmoid colon, etc. So this is developed over time through bad habits. And I know a lot of times for a lot of people like to put things on genes, and we'll get into this a little later, but all these diseases and disorders are from our own fault, and we need to start taking responsibility, because this is developed over time. This is through our bad habits, drinking all the time, eating the same crappy foods, the same bar type foods. And I get it, especially when we're young, we can eat whenever, and we think, oh, we're going to continue eating that way the rest of our life. And then we wake up one day, we gain weight, we feel like dog poop, and we have no energy, and we're always having acid reflux. This is what's happening. Ulcerative colitis can be very debilitating and life-threatening. And according to Western medicine, there's no cure. There isn't. Western medicine can't help you with a lot of things. This is why I got into Eastern medicine, is because Eastern medicine has a lot more answers to a lot of things that Western medicine says, sorry, can't help you. And I'm living proof of it, and especially with my heart. So don't get trapped into the Western mind, especially here in America. We like to think that Western medicine is our go-to thing, but it's not. Hey, when I have a broken arm or I need surgery, ER, trauma, something, absolutely, I'm going to Western medicine. But when I have a disease or something more serious, internal, chronic, I am definitely going to Eastern time and time again, because that has been shown to have results. So some of the symptoms of ulcerative colitis are diarrhea, often with blood and pus. That's a surefire way. Remember, if we have blood in the stool, people, and then there's pus, go see a doctor. Don't sit there and wait. Well, hey, you know what? I didn't have insurance for my thing ever, and I said, well, I'm gonna have another new bill, and money's really tight right now, and yada yada. But I knew I had to go to the hospital. Swallow your pride and go. When I was talking about the heart, when it happened, I had to go, and I had to swallow my pride, and it was tough, but I did it anyways. So when you see signs of blood and pus and diarrhea in a combination with an urgent need to have a bowel movement all the time, even if it's little, you have a major problem going on, and you need to get to the doctor soon, because this can be life-threatening. As always with all IBD and IBS, there's always abdominal cramping, pain, fatigue. But with ulcerative colitis, a lot of times you're going to still see the rectal bleeding like you do with Crohn's. Anemia, because you're bleeding out, you start to become anemic. And yes, you can keep eating all the burgers you want, thinking, hey, I'm getting my red meat, and that's going to produce blood, because that's what meat does. But no, dark green vegetables produces more than that, and gives you all the nutrients anyways. But because if you're bleeding out, of course you're going to have anemia. So you got to stop that so your blood can be replenished. Even if it's small amounts, it's like a faucet that constantly drips. If a faucet that constantly drips over a month, you may not look at it as a day, oh, it's just a couple drips a day, but then your water bill comes here and you're like, why is my water bill so high? Well, that's because that's what's going on with your body too. So types of ulcerative colitis are ulcerative proctitis, and that is or proctitis, and that is inflammation close to the rectum. And so you have these symptoms of rectal bleeding, may be the only sign, but like I said, anytime we start having blood continuously going out, and then you have, then you want to be able to understand. Then you have proctosigmoiditis, and basically that's the same thing, but at the sigmoid part of the colon and the rectum, and that is bloody diarrhea, abdominal cramps in the lower part of the body, pain, inability to move a bowel. And let me tell you something, when you have these type of diseases and going on, or this disorders going on, this is very painful. And for those of you who have this stuff, it is very, very painful for you to have. And you also have left side colitis, which is inflammation of the rectum, the sigmoid, and the descending colon. And basically it's almost the same thing: bloody diarrhea, abdominal cramping, and unattended weight loss. When your body is not absorbing nutrients and it's dumping all the time, and it's passing the nutrients up through stool because it's not absorbing, weight loss is a definite sign. Fatigue is a definite sign, because you're not giving your body. It's similar to like if you're driving your car and you have a hole in your gas line and it's dripping out gas, and you keep putting gas in it, but you keep seeing the gas gauge go down, and you're wondering like why your car isn't running. It's the same idea, and we have to understand that. So There's also acute severe ulcerative colitis, which is a very rare form, and that usually affects the entire colon, and that is usually severe pain, profuse diarrhea, bleeding and fever, and an inability to eat. This comes on quick, this comes on fast, and it usually lasts a very short time, but you definitely want to see your doctor as well. So like I said, the best time to see a doctor is, I had a friend the other a couple weeks ago or a week ago that was having some issues in their abdominal, and they were over. We were having a fun time, and they started having pain in an area where I thought it might be the appendix, or it could have been a lot of things. Good thing it was just a bladder infection, but at the same time, you have to realize that when you start getting these sharp pains, abdominal pains, if you have blood and stool, diarrhea, anything like that, those are signs, and it's consistent, or an unexplained fever, and it's consistent, that's more than 2 days. This is a surefire way. Hey, I need to see my doctor, because remember, people, the body is telling you something, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why the body is telling you that, because it's trying to help you. It's saying, hey guys, there's an inbuilt system of checks and balances, and when something's wrong, our body comes out in pain or whatever, for us to understand that there's a problem. So, all right, guys, let's take a break. I need a drink of water, and we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back, and of course, I spilt water all over myself because that's what I do sometimes. So, but all right, guys, if you're just joining us, we are talking about bowel disease, and we're talking about ulcerative colitis right now. And these are most tests, as you guys know, if you've ever been in the hospital, are mostly done through lab tests. It is blood work is the most common. It looks for anemia, inflammation, infection, as well as protein and all sorts of different things. So those are going to be your most common tests. So when you go to the hospital, yes, they're probably going to draw blood, because that's probably one of the best ways to see it. When you're dealing with any type of bowel disease, what ends up going to happen is they're going to ask you for a stool sample most often. I know that sounds gross, and it's hard, especially if they say, well, go to the bathroom and collect it. But they're going to have to do that in some way, or sometimes they may take something and go up, but that does happen. A stool sample, kind of like as you do if you have a pet and the vet tells you, hey, bring in a sample of your stool, because they can tell a lot by the stool sample. Endoscopies of the large intestines, basically the most common type is a colonoscopy. We all know what a colonoscopy is. We all know that is a narrow tube it has a tiny camera that is shoved up our anus into our GI tract, or our large intestine, and they can see right then and there if there's any types of abnormal growths like polyp or any extra tissue in the large intestine. And what's nice about this test is these type of tests will rule out also if you have IBS, Crohn's, celiac, ulcerative colitis, or whatever. So a lot of these causes, they don't know what it is. They really don't. Western medicine is, and please don't think I'm speaking bad of Western medicine. I know there are a lot of good, caring people that work in Western medicine. I get that. I'm friends with them. But I know that when I wanted to to work that way. It's just, there's not a lot of answers. And that's the frustrating thing. That's why you turn to pills all the time, because a lot of these causes, they say, well, we really don't know. It could be this, it could be that. And how frustrating and how scary is that for you when they can't give you an answer? You're going to them, these medical professionals that spend many years in school and hundreds of thousands of dollars on their education, can't tell you what's wrong and just say, well, here's a script, here's some pills, and you got to take a pill every day for the rest of your life, or many of them. And honestly, that's no way to live. So diet and stress are always a factor. No matter what the disease is, cancer, diabetes, IBDs, whatever it is, diet plays a part. I don't care what Western medicine says, and my hair is all a little funky right here because of the thing. So don't mind my little hair. I just noticed that. But I don't care what Western medicine says. Diet has a role to play in it because it is your fuel for your body. It is the fuel. And when we get into diabetes, I'm going to tell you why, in my opinion, I don't believe that Western medicine is why diabetes is a genetic order compared to Western medicine. But yes, stress also aggravates it. We know, we're starting to become aware of the stress, the situation of stress. We're starting to become aware of it. We're starting to say, hey, stress is really starting to kill us. It causes heart attacks, strokes. It's starting to cause bowel diseases and stuff, because stress really does. And if you don't know much about stress, I believe that we did a show a couple weeks ago on stress and had talked all about that and all about the effects of stress that has on us. Also, sometimes our immune system malfunctions. Under a normal immune system, we of course know that our immune fights off bacteria and viruses and it keeps us healthy. But then when we have an autoimmune disease and our immune system starts attacking the cells in the digestive tract, and we start having this issue. Ulcerative colitis and a lot of these things, they say, well, it's not really a hereditary thing, and I absolutely agree. It is not hereditary. That you eat the same things as your parents do, and their parents do. And it goes all into that, and you're just, to me, any type of digestional issue is guaranteed some type of diet restricted, or even chemicals. If you're breathing in a lot of chemicals or wearing a lot of chemicals, or you're constantly working in a lot of chemicals, that's going to absorb into your skin as well, and that's going to be filtered through the liver, the kidneys and stuff, and will probably get processed through the GI and could cause a lot of things. And that's why organic foods as well, eating foods that are organic, non-pesticide, have no herbicides on them either. Usually those are not sprayed around there, but sometimes it can be affected. But pesticides, you eat that, you consume that, and yes, and we have issues. So yes, definitely. NSAID drugs, people, I know that NSAID drugs are over the counter. And I know that they're easy to get to, but I'm telling you, there's so much research coming back now all over the world that are saying that NSAID drugs are bad for us. And if you don't know what NSAID drugs is, they're non-steroidal and anti-inflammatory drugs. And so what that is your ibuprofen, or not your Advil, your Tylenol, things like that, and your ibuprofen. So these over-the-counter pain medications that you're taking cause inflammation. They're finding out that people who take a lot of NSAID drugs have also are getting rheumatoid arthritis and arthritis itself, because those are two different things. But they're starting to notice that the joints in the body are starting to be wearing down because the chemicals inside NSAID drugs are wearing it down. I found out 8 months ago and research is just coming out with this, that taking NSAID drugs on a daily basis, or just enough, and that could actually affect your heart, can actually thicken your blood and cause heart issues. Same with Benadryl. So just because it is sold over the counter doesn't mean it is healthy for you. So please do your research. Please talk to your doctors. And if you have pain, there are alternatives, plant-based things that give you pain relief without all the side effects. Antibiotics. We are a country that is just filled with antibiotics, filled with it. And antibiotics, like I said earlier, destroys all the good bacteria in the stomach. If you have no good bacteria, the digestive system doesn't do its job, and bad things happen. Inflammation happens. So the people who are constantly who are so ready to take antibiotics, there are antibiotic alternatives. Go do your research. Go to a naturopathic, a doctor of oriental medicine, whoever, a homeopathic doctor. There are tons of antibiotics. The only time I take antibiotics if I got a severe infection. The last time I did it was like 2 years ago. I got a severe infection in my nail and my skin blew up and had all this pus. I had to lance it and I had to take it because it was growing in my finger. And so yes, and that. But when the dentist gives me things or when the doctors say take this, most of the time I take alternatives. There are a lot of alternatives to that. Oral contraceptives also may induce ulcerative colitis and IBD type of issues. The research is still kind of iffy on that, but it's pointing that way. So if you take any of those, then that's what we're going to have. So I know I got like 10 minutes left, so I want to talk about, so Western medicine will always give you some type of corticosteroid. And so steroids are bad for our body. They really are. If you've ever taken steroids for a long period of time, you gain weight, your skin changes, your face changes, everything about you changes, and it's hard to get back. Steroids are bad. And if you get injections for steroids and that for something for pain, and then that ball of steroids just sits there and it gets hard like a rock, oh, that is even worse. But they'll always give you some type of medication. Immunomodulators as well. That was hard for me to say, as always, my dyslexia. But yeah, those as well, and surgery a lot of times. So what can we do on a natural basis? So, enemas. I know you're probably laughing right now. Did she just say enemas? Yes, I did, and I do them. I do wheatgrass enemas 3 times a week right now. And why? Because enemas are wonderful. Enemas are great because especially if I'm having fire down there, or if people for cancer, they do enema flushes with wheatgrass all the time. Coffee flushes. I don't like coffee flushes because it makes me too antsy. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, but your colon absorbs the water. It goes right into the blood. It gives it right back to the body. So when you do an enema and you fill it with wheatgrass, you're getting all the nutrients of wheatgrass just shot right up into the bloodstream. And you could do chlorella, you could do all types of different things. So go do your research on that. Ask your professional what kind of enemas you can do. You can do your research online, but as I say, don't just start doing something because you think it's going to help you and say, well, Miss Raina said so. No. Always talk to someone who is knowledgeable and has education, because even the healthiest things can have severe side effects. And but enemas are wonderful, especially if you're having types of constipation. And I'm going to tell you, the very first couple times you do an enema, you always start out slow and little, and you build yourself up. Because if you try to do what I do with wheatgrass and chlorella and everything right away, you are going to have severe abdominal cramping. You're going to sweat. You're going to feel like you're about to die because it's pumping your body full of nutrients and it's flushing everything out. And if you have IBS or IBD type symptoms or anything like that, it is going to put a world of hurt on you. So you always start out small. Back again to aloe vera if you didn't, but beta carotene, yes. What do we think of beta carotene? Carrots, yes. But beta carotene is known for its fixing the damage to the intestinal mucosa. So so remember, it needs lubrication. It needs that mucosa in order for your stool, in order for everything to pass by nicely. And when you don't have that, man, that's like sandpaper going through. Turmeric, curcumin, the substance in turmeric, which is curcumin, is very anti-inflammatory. You think, wow, I'm hot, I have acid reflux, and she wants me to add spices to it. I'm not saying go throw ghost peppers on there and chili pepper and add the Tabasco sauce. No, I'm talking about certain types of spices. But turmeric and curcumin are one of the best things. That's anti-inflammatory. A lot of people make golden milk with it. Golden milk is wonderful for the digestive system. It protects the stomach and it reduces the acid. Remember, you want things that coat. Too much acid or too little acid, we have a problem. You want that perfect pH in there. Pineapple juice is another one. I know I don't know, but I've read several studies on people who have done have put their cancer in remission and have never had cancer again by drinking, I think, 3 or 4 pineapples a day for a month. And why? Because bromelain is anti-inflammatory. I take bromelain pills, or I'll just sometimes eat a pineapple, but it's really that core. You know, that hard part of the pineapple, that's where the most bromelain is. And so usually that's what they take when they give you pills, but 400 milligrams daily will take down inflammation, take down pain. If you eat bromelain with food, it becomes a digestive enzyme. If you eat bromelain without food, it becomes an anti-inflammatory. So depending on what you want to eat it for is what you want to do. And I love ginger tea. Who doesn't love ginger tea? I know it. I absolutely love it. And actually, I'm probably talking about all this turmeric and ginger tea and all that. I'm probably going to go fix me a nice warm glass of it soon after this show. But 2 times daily is recommended for a lot of digestion issues. I do it as well all the time. Like I said, you can get Chinese herb packages, like the orange peel one. I think it's called Sweet Orange now by Tsao. And that's made for the digestive tract. Again, these are not quick fixes. You're not going to take ginger tea and eat McDonald's and say, oh, okay, I'm supposed to feel better. You're not going to eat a burger or pizza and drink beer all night and then take ginger tea and think, oh, okay, it's going to make it all better. It doesn't work that way. Bananas are also very good. 3 bananas with 3 tablespoons of olive oil a day. Remind you, be easy with the olive oil. If you're not used to swallowing oil, if you take 1 or 2 tablespoons or teaspoons of olive oil, sometimes you will get sick and you will vomit. And I've done that before. I went one time I was in school and my teacher told me, yeah, take olive oil. I took 1 tablespoon, and an hour later I was so sick as a dog. I was vomiting it back up, and I was like, I'm never going to do that again. So I went in, I said, that made me sick. And she's like, well, of course, you got to build up to it. And I went, oh, yeah, duh. And so you got to build up to these things. But I want to say, if you have spleen qi issues, meaning like and usually when you have ulcerative colitis and all this, usually you're spleen qi because you're fatigued and everything. Bananas really aren't helpful to the stomach and spleen. So I always tell people that even though I put it on this as bananas are helpful, you got to really be careful with all that stuff. So, all right, guys, that is tonight's show. We didn't even get into IBS or I think IBS and diabetes. I think is no diverticulitis and diabetes. So we're going to continue this next week, and hopefully we get through it. There's so much stuff to cover. And guys, I apologize if it seemed I was going kind of fast. There's so much to cover. Don't fret if you didn't catch all of it. You can go back, you can go through the show, listen to it over and over and figure out what it is. If not, you can always email me, because guys, I will help you if you guys need as much as possible. But if not, you have your doctors, go see and go to your medical professionals and start taking care of this stuff. But it all starts with you. Start juicing, start changing your diet, start alleviating stress, start exercising, start doing these things, and you'll find that your lifestyle will change. So, all right, got to get my little notepad here as always because I never remember this. But, all right, guys, as always, follow us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/transcendental. Our YouTube is the same thing, but Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for the newsletter to receive special hidden shows, VIP access to the website, and special guest offer. And always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.